podcast is incredible. It's my favorite wrestling podcast right now. I've told you that off air.
Me too.
So I'm not just blowing smoke.
Not only did I tell him, I texted it to him.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, wow.
I did.
How personal of you.
I did.
That was very nice.
And I told him in person.
One of the things that stood out to me most of all the episodes that I've heard so far was on the Montreal Screwjob episode, which seemed like something that's been so overdone, and I think you even pointed that out on the show. It was the point that you brought up, the story about Hogan negotiating to come back to WWF, which I don't think any of us ever knew until you had told that story. It's interesting because when Hogan did return to WWF in the early 2000s, he was brought back as a heel. And he was a heel at that time when he was negotiating. But the fans refused to accept him as a heel.
In WWE.
In WWE. Even after, as you pointed out earlier today, he ran over The Rock with a semi.
Right.
They still were going to cheer this guy. So it's interesting because he was right at the beginning of that really hot run with the NWO, and he could have potentially come back to WWF. What were the thoughts backstage behind what would we do with Hogan if he came back?
Well, the only ones that knew of that were myself, Vince, and the CEO at the time, Neville Meyer.
Then you guys talk about that at all, about how he would handle it, or just let's see if we can get him back first?
Well, it was simply a situation. His contract was up.
Yeah.
He had the ability to negotiate. He was negotiating. He was seeing what was out there, sending out feelers. And we were looking at, it was at the same time that Brett had been offered to go to WCW. His contract was coming up. It's like, okay, here's the money you've got. Does it go over here? Does it go over here? Hogan was a proven commodity. Brett wasn't really a proven commodity at that point, but we were banking on him. We were hoping he would be. And it was just something that we investigated. It was why the hell wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali shows up and he's available. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
It doesn't hurt to talk, and I think I said it on there, but I remember when Vince went to meet him somewhere in Colorado, and said, "Well, you want to meet in the room?" I said, "No, we'll meet downstairs in the bar.
Make it public."
So I've got nothing to hide. They know I'm negotiating.
Yeah.
So.
And then I think you pointed out that, Vince, ended the conversation with, if I make you an offer and it helps you, I'll do that. Which is just like, to me, people talk about the cutthroat Vince McMahon and, he'll do anything to cut you off at the knees. But to me, that was saying something of, here's a guy who's his big star, left, became a big star for the other company, made the other company what it was at the time, and you're still willing to say, hey, I'll help you out if I can.
Yeah, it's good business.
Don't burn bridges.
No, and it was good business. It's a double-edged sword too. We'll help you out, make them spend more money for you.
That's true.
So it can be looked at both ways.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
But at the same time, Vince was looking after the guy that had helped build his company and carried it on his back for a long time, in Hulk Hogan, and I think that was simply a gesture of, help. He's done it for a lot of guys.
I think that just shows that's kind of a stand-up thing to do. Now, real quick, though, last couple things is you told Matt and I a story, and this is how this whole idea of you coming back on the show came about. We were talking about Steve Allen, talking about Leslie Nielsen, talking about Regis Philbin at one of the reality wrestling shows. You had a great story about Regis Philbin, though, about how Regis Philbin looked out for you. Do you mind telling that?
Well, I don't know if he he looked out for me. Regis was cool. He was just cool as shit. And Regis is actually, when he found out that I was no longer with the company, actually called Vince and was like, "What the hell?"
Which it just has to be the coolest thing, though.
It is a cool thing. But Regis is a stand-up guy. Regis really is a really nice human being. And you talked about Steve Allen, Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen, to me, the best celebrity we ever had. God, I had fun with him. Just a wonderful, wonderful man. Taught all along the way. And I just had a blast with Leslie Nielsen. And then Steve Allen, being able to sit in Steve Allen's office.
Man.
And wherever the hell it was, Malibu or Hollywood, and and him get on a piano and just like start playing piano. And as we're talking about, he says, well, these scripts, I said, no, those are just bullet points to, things we want to hit. Well, mind if we have some fun with it? And just started playing piano, and he was talented. But it was amazing being in his home, being in his office, and watching him create was incredible.
Legends.
Incredible.
So do you think
none of these punk kids out here know who the hell we're talking about?
See, I do though.
We do.
I'm 23. I know.
We do.
See who's on my desk over there. So something to wrestle with. Bruce Prichard, new podcast, MLW Radio, once a week on Fridays.
Fridays at noon.
Do you think you'll ever get to a point to where you've run out of stories? That's my question.
Let's hope not.
No, I'm just asking.
I got 43. I got 43.
That's what I'm
years
saying.
worth of
Like, do you
stories.
think? That's my other question though. Is do you see this being a finite run of shows, or do you want to do this for as long as you can?
I'll probably do it as long as I can. If it gets old, we'll change the format. We'll always.
I don't
tweak
think
the
any
format.
wrestling fan will want you to change the format.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
going to be honest with you.
I think it's perfect just the
the
way
most
that it is.
amazing thing. Well, I did know y'all cut out the stuff at the beginning.
We did cut out the reviews of Raw. We got feedback that, hey man, we want the stories from yesteryear, and we don't really care what you think about Raw. And that was one of the things that Conrad and I both said, and that was my idea originally. Well, let's be current. And finally, it was like, you know what? They don't care. And there's enough. I don't know.
I think they care.
Okay, but there's enough of that out there.
Exactly.
They can get that everywhere else.
Yeah.
They can't get the old stories from a viewpoint of what I had. I've been very fortunate in this business to do what I've done, work with who I've worked with. And, I can share that now and just be able to share that with an audience and give them something different. And no matter what, there's nobody else that can give that same viewpoint that I have. And, I can, if I have to, I can go back to when I was 15 and 16 years old working here in Houston. And some of those stories that are, it's funny, my long-term memory is better than my short-term. My short-term is...
It's getting out of there.
Wow.
Hey, what's up? This Booker T, WWE Hall of Famer, representing Title Match Wrestling. Hey, you know the deal. Click on it. Make sure you subscribe. Check out all the latest videos from Reality of Wrestling and there beyond. Now, can't you dig that, sucker?